Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Garden Coach. This is the second one of the year, and we're doing them bi-week or bi-monthly now, so 2 times a month, every 2 weeks. And this helps me not do as much repetition and really keeps me on target for everything that we should all be focusing on in the next 2 weeks. So let me just check to see. I'm going to go ahead and pop this up. There we go. Oh, I'm the only one here now, and you can see my my magic arsenal of things here over my shoulder. But you all got a link with the handout, and Carly, the assistant marketing director, actually did the coolest thing. She took my notes and kind of those are my notes. All right. She reformatted them so that they have hyperlinks. So if you just open this up in your computer, if you click on the product that I'm talking about, it will take you right to the page on the website where you could order it, exactly. And then we're still having our wonderful Step into Spring promotion for Chalet Rewards customers. So everything from Garden Essentials, all of these products over my shoulder, and anything from home decor is 20% off. And that's through Sunday in the store at 5 p.m. But I heard there's a new email going out that will let you use the online until the end. I think it's till 8 p.m. on Sunday. So if you miss coming to the store, you can still get those great deals. All right. So I'm organized. I had a Zoom disaster for our Chalet College session this week. Thank goodness that day, that was Wednesday, I used all the negative Zoom energy for the day. So then when I did my segment with Tracy Butler on Channel 7 at the 11 a.m. news, it went beautifully. It was a Zoom back talk is what we call it. Tracy's in the studio and I'm here and we talk back and forth. So that's called a talk back. And it went great. And you can find that. I should have had that hyperlinked on the handout. You can find that on the ABC TV Channel 7 News webpage. They have it posted on the webpage. We had some fun. I had a lot of fun. So look for that. I'm looking. We have 2 people. Welcome, welcome. I'm just getting things warmed up for the Garden Coach. And I was talking about how wonderful our assistant marketing manager updated my handout with all the topics and all the products on it. If I can get close, look. And anything that has an underline has a hyperlink. So if you have it open up on your computer, if you click on that, it'll take you directly to the Chalet webpage where that product is. So man, we're getting really cool, aren't we? Yeah. And then you can still use the Step into Spring 22, it's the SIS 22 code, and get 20% off anything that's in Garden Essentials. So all of these products back here, and anything in home decor, 20% off for Chalet Rewards members. Is that a cool thing to get you started? And then our patio is absolutely gorgeous. And I took another shot to show all the extra racks of beautiful plants that we have out there. But then when I looked at my PowerPoint, I realized I have it really well represented. So I had to make you come and drive by the patio or park your car and come and walk all around the patio to see all the great plants. Our nursery isn't open. We're not going to have it open until the 1st or 2nd week of April. So all of your plant shopping is on the front patio, which makes it very convenient, very convenient. Okay, we still have 2 people. I'm going to take a break and have another sip of coffee. I love my Yeti full of coffee, and I hope you have a lot of good coffee too. While we're waiting for people to sign on, I'd like to remind everybody that I will answer all the questions that you have and it's best to use the Q&A section, the Q&A, rather than the chat. I can keep track of the questions easier if you're using the Q&A area. So yeah, I'm looking at this handout going, oh my gosh, this is going to change life for all of our customers. So no more hunting in the store if you don't want to come in the store, or if you want to get your product immediately, you can go to the hyperlink, click on the hyperlink, and it's anything that's underlined, click on that hyperlink, and or you can also just go up to this, see at the top where it says shop the products here, click on that, and it takes it directly to the web page for the Garden Coach products. Is that cool? Okay, let's check again. We have 4 people, well, me and 3 more. So welcome, welcome. I logged in a little earlier today. I had a Zoom disaster on Wednesday. We had our Chalet College, and my tablet I've used for years as a presenter wouldn't work. And we didn't realize that until we were into the Chalet College. And so, I mean, it was, oh my gosh, you talk about having Zoom turn into a 4-letter word. Boy, it sure did. I got Zoomed that day. But the nice thing is I used all the negative energy, all the negative Zoom energy in the morning. And so when I did the 11 o'clock news with Tracy Butler, the weather anchor, it was by Zoom, and it went great. It went great. So check out their webpage for that link. We had fun. We had a lot of fun. So and I'm going to be talking about the same things I talked there in the Garden Coach session right now. Man, I'm seeing stuff. I'm seeing great samples and under the microscope, and hearing wonderful questions already. It's starting. It's really nice. It's really nice. So let me see. It is, oh my goodness, it's 10 o'clock. So we have 12 people. More people I'm sure will be signing on. And I'm Jennifer Brennan. I'm the Horticulture Information Specialist here at Chalet. And as of next month, on the 17th, I will be at Chalet for 31 years. It's a good thing I do hair color, isn't it? So I thank you so much for following me in the Garden Coach, and also the other webinars when I get to present webinars. Thank you so much for being loyal to that, and thank you for coming in to the Garden Center and finding me back at the diagnostic desk where I have all those great samples, and bringing your samples in. So I'm going to check again to see. We have 16 people, and it's a minute after 10. I want to point out that Carly, the manager of our marketing, the assistant manager of our marketing department, took my outline that can get really crowded, and she reformatted it. And the products that I'm talking about in the presentation today, and like all of these guys over my shoulder, anything that's underlined is a hyperlink. So if you have this document open on your computer, you can click on it and it'll take you directly to the page on our website where you can purchase it if you want. And we're still doing the Step Into Spring 20% off discount for Chalet Rewards customers. And anything in garden essentials. So these are all these products, fertilizers, seeds, grass seed, insect repellents, weed killers, any of those things are discounted at 20% off when you purchase them. And then also the garden decor items. So it's a neat way for us to give back to you all so you can start your gardening season early. Now in April, you're also going to be getting an email with a 20% off a plant purchase. And those are our spring plants and our woody trees and shrubs. We are unloading trucks daily, and we're planning on having the nursery, or they call it the garden, open the first week or the second week of April. So if you kind of stay tuned for that. And let me check again. Ooh, we've got 26. Welcome, everybody. I'll repeat again. Carly did a wonderful thing. She reformatted my outline with the topics and the products and hyperlinked them. So if you have it open on your screen, you can click on anything that's underlined or go to this section at the top that says shop the products here. Click on that and you go right to the webpage. You can purchase online, do a curbside pickup. You can also set up for, if you spend over $100, you can set up a free delivery, and that's until April 1st. And so if you need to get a lot of mulch, and then, set up, purchase $100 worth and then get free delivery. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my PowerPoint. You're going to love my photos. Okay, here it is. Okay. Oh, I don't want to do that. What is that? Okay, just have to get rid of this screen. Oh, what am I doing here? Sorry, everybody. I'm having a Zoom moment. This is ridiculous. Okay, here we go. Let's go back up again. I'm going to bring this up live. I'm back. We're going to start. We're going to do this screen sharing again. Boy, sorry, everybody. I may have to. Oh, goodness. All right, there it is. Here we go. You just don't give up. Don't give up. All right. All right. Here we go. Oh, that's too many of me. That's okay. So now I'm going to start it with, this is the time for cool season plants. And especially with this goofy weather we're having this next week, I was watching the weather this morning, and the weather anchors were saying that our normal temperature today is 50. It should be 50, and we are being exceptionally cold. I have a Q&A. I'm going to look at it. I'm breaking my rules, everybody. I usually don't look at, oh no. Someone is saying that she opened the link for the handout, and the one that opened is the link for March 11th. There'll be an updated handout for today. Yes, there is. It's March 25th. Check a different email. Check another email, Michelle. So I'm so sorry about that. I'll let Carly know. Okay. All right. Well, let's just go ahead. And what I'm going to do is go through the whole presentation, and then I'll answer. My goal is I usually finish at after 45 minutes of presentation, so we have 10 to 15 minutes of time for questions and answers, and I'll stay on as long as it takes to answer all your questions. So so what we're going to talk about first, and Michelle, if you want to send me your email in the Q&A, go and do that. And I'll send you another I'll send you the link for the proper one. I'm sorry, I can't do it right now. Okay, everybody, we'll get back on track here. So the cool season plants that are just so ideal, and we have 1, 2, 3. I'm looking out the window right now as I talk from our administrative building office. I'm on the second story, on the second floor. I'm looking out at the patio through one of the windows. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 level plant racks on the front patio, filled with just gorgeous pansies and violas, and I like to call them cheater bulbs. Those are spring bulbs that were planted up by our growers, chilled through the winter, and brought on, and the foliage is up. Some like the hyacinth have flower buds in them, and you can pretend that you planted those last fall, and you can plant them in your garden now and make people think that you planted all your spring flowering balls last fall when you're supposed to. And we have tulips, we have daffodils, we have grape hyacinth, we have miniature daffodils, and then all the wonderful pansies and violas. Let me keep moving ahead here. Gotta get the right screen. Okay. There we go. These are my favorite violas. And the one on the left is called Etane. And this is actually a perennial viola that comes back year after year after year. And it is so beautifully fragrant. You'll see why it's my favorite. I love the bright yellow and with the lavender edges on the flower petals. And then the bluer one on the right hand side is called it's the Halo Sky Blue, and just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous plants. We've got another shipment. We sold out of our first shipment of Hellebores. We got another shipment in, so the table looks very similar to this. Hellebores are also called Lenten roses, and they have gorgeous evergreen foliage that stays up year round. It might get a little winter burned if we have a tougher winter. The wonderful thing about Hellebores is that no animals will eat them. Rabbits won't eat them and deer won't eat them. And then these flowers are just spectacular. And I think I have a close up. On the left, this plant, and it's called Ivory Prince, changed the whole hellebore world. For many, many years, people didn't know what hellebores were. You had to be a freaky garden geek if you knew what a hellebore was. And my dear, dear friend, and I say this with love, Tony Fulmer, who was the nursery manager for years when I started working at Chalet, and then he became the retail manager for years. Whenever he would hire a new person, one of his questions was, name 5 evergreen perennials. And people would just be going, oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh. Hellebores is one of them. But what changed the world with hellebores is this plant on the left. It's called Ivory Prince, and it was hybridized so that the flowers held their heads upright. Most hellebores have the flower heads hanging downward because the sexual parts, the stamen and the pistils, are up, and because they flower so early, the end of March, sometimes early March, if the weather dictates, they're exposed to harsh weather, freezing rain, snow, ice, and it could potentially damage the sexual parts of the plant, so they wouldn't be able to get pollinated and make seed. But this hybridization is holding the flowers up, and so there's been phenomenal hybridizing for the past 10 years, and it is the hottest plant. And so this purple one is just, I mean, absolutely gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Okay, more phenomenal cool season plants. These are the primroses, and the newest ones in the last 10 years have been these spectacular doubles. So they look like just clusters of little miniature roses on the primroses, or even like double peonies on the primroses. So these are excellent, just fantastic. Now this is also the time to buy your summer flowering bulbs. I'm going to go forward a little bit and then come back. This is the shelf where we have them all lined up in their cartons. We also have an island in the center aisle with a lot more, and you can see the close-ups. Dahlias, the phenomenal dahlias. There are some perennials like the Siberian iris, and then the crocosmia. Elephant ears are there, begonias, caladiums, and lilies, Asiatic lilies and Oriental lilies, and then cannas, all the different colors. So this is what the aisle looks like. These are close-ups. Look at the phenomenal large dahlias. And what you want to do is you want to plant them now. Plant them in containers now, or we call that potting them up. You put them in pots and water them and keep them warm. So you keep them inside, and the roots get started and the shoots will start coming up, and it can take 8 weeks for the shoots to come up. And it gives these summer flowering bulbs a 2-month head start. And so okay, and then these are more, here are the lilies. You can start the lilies inside too. And then as soon as the ground is unthawed, and as soon as the danger of hard freezes have passed, and this is particularly true for the dahlias. They don't like, if their leaves are above ground and there's a hard freeze, it's not good for them. It will kill them back to the ground. But you can get them started inside. Once you start seeing foliage come out of the soil in the pot, put it in as bright a window as you can, full sunny windows if you can. And then that gives them such a beautiful head start. So it puts them 2 months ahead of the game for flowering out in the garden. And then this is a good example of the Oriental. Lilium Lovely Day is an Oriental. And then the Rosella's Dream is an Asiatic. Asiatics bloom in June. Orientals bloom in July and August. So you want to have a few of both. So you have lilies in your yard and in your garden throughout the whole summer. Begonias, oh my gosh, begonias are fabulous. And these are the tuberous begonias. We have a few of these tuberous varieties in containers after the danger of frost has passed. And the danger of frost is actually the average frost-free date in Chicago is, and I'm going to show you a slide of this. This is my cool tool. It's called the Garden Planner. And you set this on the frost-free date. And in this area, it's May 15th. So it's good to know that, because anything that you want to plant, you can plant things in the ground before the frost-free date. And those are the cool season crops, like lettuces, sweet peas, garden peas, green peas, kale, cabbage. I planted my sweet peas and my garden peas, my dinner peas, last Sunday when it was 70 degrees outside. I also planted my collard greens. You tell I'm from down south. But any of those cool season things you can get planted early, and then you don't want to plant the warm season crops until after the frost-free date. And those are things like tomatoes, peppers, squash, corn, green beans. Those are all the warm season plants. Okay, so now, and then more of the summer flowering bulbs, gladiolas, just spectacular. They make the most beautiful summer bouquets. So make sure you get some of these in your garden. They're beautiful as cut flowers, and they're beautiful in the garden. And then cannas, oh my. And there are small cannas and tall cannas. And then look at the neat new colors like China Doll and the apricot frost, just incredible. The elephant ears, or calocasias and alocasias, are the Latin names of these bulbs. But start these inside, because they're real slow to grow if you put them in a container outside. They'll just sit there and stall out. And if you start them inside, and we have two different sizes. We have the large, and we have the mammoth. And I have a picture of the large and mammoth right next to each other in the left-hand picture. And then I turned the mammoth sideways in the right-hand picture, and you can see how huge that tuber is at least 8 inches long and almost 6 inches in diameter. But they are so much fun, and they will grow in sun or shade. And if they're in sunny locations, the leaves aren't as big. If you put them in shade, this mammoth, the leaves will be 4 feet long and 3 feet wide. You can hide behind them. It's kind of fun in the garden. And then you can also get your starts for your potatoes. And look at all the different colors of potatoes there are. The classic red, and then we have the sweet potatoes. We have the purple Majesty potato, and then the good russet. The good russets. We have the onion starts, red onions and white onions, and then the garlics. We have the giant garlic and the classic garlic. We also have starts and tubers for root growth for asparagus. Now, if you're going to put things out early, and if you're looking at your garden right now, be aware of rabbit damage. Rabbits are everywhere. I went out in my own garden a month and a half ago. Remember we had those 50-mile-an-hour winds when that storm came through? One of my downspouts blew off my house in the wind. And so I had to call someone to replace it and we'll just reattach it. So I had gotten off work and drove home, and it was dusk. It was before daylight savings. So it was still it was getting dark. And I went out and was looking to make sure everything got attached right and the downspout was going out the right direction. And as I was walking around at dusk in my own garden, 4 rabbits were running around. I thought, oh my gosh, I need to get my protection out. And you can see in these photos what the rabbits did to the arborvitae. If you have that kind of rabbit damage, those plants will never regrow that. So you're sentenced to underplant perennials underneath it to hide that damage. This is a serviceberry over in the right. You can see how the rabbits just ate all the bark off every one of those trunks. That plant died. And so in order to protect your garden, this is the best product. And I love how the natural resource agents talk about if you have high pressure from wildlife, don't you love that pressure from wildlife? Then you need to use repellents. The very best is the plant skeed. Now, I'm showing the granular form in these photos because I went out and used the granular form. I sprinkled 3 1-pound containers all over my front garden, and then another 1-pound container around my raised bed garden in my backyard. And I'm going to show you pictures of that because everyone wants to see what's the garden coach doing in her own garden. I just realized I misspelled pressure up there. Isn't that terrible how you don't notice it till it's really big on the screen? But then over on the side of that image, you can see the liquid form. And when the plants are actually coming up, you want to use the liquid form. And the liquid form, because it's a blood-based product, it can stain when you initially spray the plants. I don't like to spray my pansies with it because it covers the flower color. But the best thing to do is spray it on a day like today. This is a perfect day to spray. It's above freezing, sunny, not raining. And then when this plant skid dries for overnight within 24 hours, it will stay on the parts of the plant that are sprayed for 60 days. And then 90 days if we have frozen precipitation. So, and it comes in the 32-ounce spray bottle. Now, what's interesting is because it's blood-based, it will coagulate in the sprayer, so it can clog it. So the owner of the company recommends for the hand sprayer that we encourage people to save the white cap for the quart bottle. And then after you finish spraying, take the sprayer out and then rinse it out with hot water. And that keeps it from getting clogged. Put the cap back on and then do that each time you use it, and you'll be able to use all that spray bottle. Now, we used to sell the concentrate. It grossed people out so much that no one would buy it. And so we don't sell, and the company doesn't even sell the concentrate anymore. So you can buy it in a gallon if you have a lot of area to spray. So we've got it in the liquid. We also have it in the granular, and the granular comes in 3 sizes: a 1-pound size, a 3-pound size, 3.5 pound, and an 8-pound size. So this really, it works. Deer, rabbits, and voles, incredible control. Now, liquid fence is the second, the go-to. We had the deer and rabbit. We had one called Rabbit Repellent. They claimed they weren't making it anymore, but we got a box from one of our suppliers. So it has a little heavier capsaicin in it, and it has cinnamon in it, and it's very effective for repelling the baby rabbits as well. Another one, and I don't have the photo of it, is the Repellzole. So we have that. Now I'm moving into the insect problems. I'm starting to see samples of people bringing in damaged boxwood that it's damaged not from the winter, but from the boxwood leaf miner, which is an insect that moved into our area. I believe it's been 7 years now. So it was 7 years ago, and it's a tiny little moth. I thought I had a picture of the moth, it's a gnat. It's a gnat. Let me just see. No, I don't. But it flies around, lays eggs on the leaves, and it's usually the new growth in the spring. Those eggs hatch, and if you peel open a leaf, that you can see on the right hand side, you peel up and you can see all the maggots or the larvae inside, and they wiggle around. They wake up when the air temperatures are warming up. They start feeding again. They've actually been in that leaf since last summer, since the end of May last summer, and they were feeding on the mesophyll cells in between the two epidermal cells or layers. And then as the temperature gets warmer and warmer, they actually mature and pupate. And then this is the immature adult that has pupated from the larva. And you can see the wing formation, and that's right in the center of but what the giveaway is if you look at the leaves and you see these tan colored spots on the leaves, rather than, all the whole surface is, completely tan. When they do emerge, when these pupa emerge, they chew another hole, a larger exit hole on the underneath side of the leaf. And you can see that on the lower left hand. And then they crawl out, and then they leave the outer exoskeleton of the pupa as they're crawling out. And then the adults don't have to feed on anything. Their larva has been feeding for a whole 9 months. All the adults have to do is mate and lay eggs. So you need to really protect these plants. Oh, this is cool. I think this is going to work. Okay. When you open up, it throws people out because these larvae wiggle, and people are just totally grossed out. But this is what the leaf looks like up close, and then you can see after I peeled the outer layer off what it looks like on the microscope back. And this is what your plants would look like. So if you have plants that look like that, come in and get a great insecticide. And you can either use the Bayer Advanced is now called Bio Advanced. And they were the initial company that invented the imidacloprid systemic insecticide used as a soil drench. And then their rights, they have like a right, not a warranty, but it's anyway, they have it for 9 years. And then once that expires, other companies can use that same active ingredient. And so Bonide has been using it as well. So both of these are very, very similar and act the same way. And for boxwood, you take the height of the shrub, and for every foot of height, you use 3 ounces of either of these products mixed in a gallon of water, and then pour it right where the trunk of the stems going to the ground. So on boxwoods, we don't want you to crawl under a green velvet boxwood. Walk to the center and just pour it right down the center of the plant. And then it's absorbed in the plant and stays in the plant for 12 months, a whole year. It's incredible. Now, this is a heads up. I have not seen any of these yet, but I want you to be aware of this. This is Viburnum leaf beetle. These are the larvae that will hatch probably the first week in May. And unfortunately, these are in the area 5 years ago, maybe 6 now. And they're the worst insect that I have ever encountered, because these larvae hatch. The eggs are laid on the very thin stem tips of all the viburnums. They like the smooth leaf viburnums best, especially the dentatums, and which is the nannyberry viburnum. And those eggs hatch, and they can just be covered with these larvae. And the larvae eat through all of the soft tissue of the leaves, often leaving the veins. But if there's enough of them, they'll defoliate a shrub in 3 to 5 days. So you need to really be aware of this. The same product I was talking about, this was this sample, and you can tell that this was one of the most disgusting samples I've ever worked with in my life here. They had eaten all the leaves off. There were so many that they were eating the stem down to a nub, and you can see all that. This can be controlled. Oh, and then what makes this evil is these larvae, once they finish feeding, drop to the ground and pupate, and then stay in the ground next to the viburnum, all from in June and July, and at the end of July or early August, depending on the weather, temperature, and the moisture, they hatch as the adults, and the adults are small. They're smaller, almost smaller than the larva. And then they come out and eat leaves again. They don't eat as much as all the larvae do, but then they mate and then they lay eggs on the new leaves, new leaf tips. And one of the best things to control this is that product. I'm going to go back again just so you remember. The Bio Advanced and the Bonide 12-month insecticide, and get it down now that the soil is thawed, and it will protect those Viburnum when those larvae hatch. So be forewarned about this one. It is evil. I'm seeing a lot of euonymus scale, and euonymus scale, it occurs on the evergreen euonymus. Euonymus can be a climber on our buildings, or it can also be a small shrub, and they're so susceptible to this. And this is over in the right hand, the lower left, that's what the two leaves look like. And you can see where the back side is where all the scale insects are located. And then when I put it under the microscope, look over on the far left, you can see that it's on the microscope deck, and you can see the camera on top of the ocular, one of the oculars, and then it takes it up to the monitor, and then looking right in the center is the close-up of the monitor. The white ones are the males, and the brown ones are the females. And most often they'll overwinter, but even if they don't overwinter, if the adults aren't alive underneath those scales, whether it's the white or the brown, there are eggs that survive. And those eggs hatch on the euonymus and also magnolia. They have magnolia scale. They hatch in June, and the crawlers, that's the only time these insects can move around is when they're the young, and we call them the crawlers, because when you put them in the microscope, you can see their legs, and they crawl out, they find a spot, they insert their needle mouth part, which is a sucking device. And then when they find a great place and they're getting good, yummy food, and usually it's along the veins, then they form the scale and it seals down over them. And no contact insecticide will go through that scale covering. So that's why you really have to use either horticultural oil or use a systemic. I like encouraging people to use the systemic. The drench works great. We also have a spray that can be used. Now, moving on to the most common question this time of year is, how can I fix my lawn? The lawns are just looking terrible because it was so hot and so dry last summer that our cool season turf grasses really suffered. The nice thing is it was so dry, we didn't see as many fungal diseases as we would normally see. So like the summer patch and the brown patch, but we saw a lot of death on because of the heat and the drought. So now is the best time. You want to get an early season fertilizer and a pre-emergent weed control. The best one to use that we carry is the Scott's Triple Action Proceeding or the Step 1 Proceeding. It's the same. I'm going to show you that. After you've used that, watered it in, wait 2 weeks to see how the grass plants are waking up. The best time to use it is the first week in April. So that's going to be next week. And wait 2 weeks to see how the grass plants are waking up. And did you notice how after that soaking rain we had 2 nights ago and yesterday morning, how the lawns are greening up? Take a look at your lawn and see how it's waking up and turning green. Okay, then after you see how the bare spots have filled in, the dormant grass plants have the capacity of growing 3 inches in each direction. So if your holes or spots on your lawn are less than 6 inches in diameter, wait, and then you'll see how they almost fill in after you put your fertilizer and your pre-emergent weed control down. This is the calendar that Bill Lohenberger, who was head of our lawn care division in our landscape, encouraged me to create years ago. And this is just a nice tool to show you what to do each month in your lawn, and I'll be coaching you with that. Now, this is the product I was talking about. The active ingredient is called Mesotrione, and that's the active in Tenacity. Tenacity is the product that will kill creeping bentgrass in lawns. and if you use the liquid spray. The granular is excellent. I love this. So it prevents creeping bentgrass. It prevents crabgrass. It prevents nimblewell. It will kill nutsedge. It kills the weed, and it kills any of the nutlets to keep them from getting started again. It does not prevent grass seed from germinating though. So this is probably the best, and because it's cleared for use with seeding, it has a 21 nitrogen, 22 phosphorus, and I believe it's 5 potassium. But so it's really nice if you are going to do any seeding in your lawn, that you have that wonderful high level of phosphorus to help those seeds. Now, another one that I love to recommend is the organically based lawn fertilizer. So if you're going to use Scott Step 1 for seeding as your first application in the growing season, plan to use the Espoma lawn food. It's a slow release nutrient source. It's long term. It's juice. That means it has a little extra nitrogen in it, and it has no phosphorus. So that's by law, you're not supposed to use products with phosphorus unless you're putting seed down. So that's why the last product you can get by with that higher phosphorus level. But the nutrient ratio is 15:05 on the Espoma lawn food. What the garden coach does for her yard is I use the Scott Step 1 for seeding. I'm going on vacation next week, so I'm gonna get it applied this Sunday before I leave town. And then when I get back in 10 days, my lawn should look wonderful. And then the best times to do the fertilizer are April 15, Memorial Day, or May 31st into June, into the first 2 weeks of June. And then you don't have to do it again until Labor Day. So that can be as early as August 15, and then as late as September 15. And then again, Halloween. So what I do, I do the Scott Step 1 for seeding, and then I just do 3 bags of Espoma lawn food, and then I spot spray my weeds. I'm getting ahead of the schedule on this. I'm not really talking about that this week. In 2 weeks, I'll really talk more about how to spot spray. Now, this was a newer product last year from the Bio Advanced company, and it works for 6 months. It fertilizes for 3 months. It prevents new broadleaf weeds for 6 months. It prevents new crabgrass with a pre-emergent for 6 months, and it will kill large crabgrass plants with a post-emergent product. And then it keeps the lawn green for 3 months. So this is a great thing. So it's like 5 in 1. It takes care of everything you need, and you can put this down as early as that first week in April. Okay, now if you are going to do grass seed, this has been fun, and Bill Leuenberger encouraged me to do this. This little tiny photo down at the bottom shows the density of how thick you should spread grass seed on your lawn. And so the middle one is just right, the left one is too light, and the right one is too heavy. And too heavy means if they all germinate, they'll outcompete each other and they'll choke each other out. Too light, you're not going to get enough fill. And when I noticed that it's the same consistency of the poppy seeds of the Rosen's buns over at Irving's for Red Hot Lovers. And this is Andy, the owner of Irving's. And that was my jumbo dog. Ooh, I may have to go get one for lunch today. But that was my jumbo dog. And he let me go behind the counter to take a picture of the steamed buns. So this is a neat way to understand how thick you should spread your seed. Now, this is sad to me. I've already had people coming in noticing this weed, and it used to be called Ranunculus Bracharia, or they called it a weedy buttercup. Unfortunately, this is an alien plant. It's not native to here. It looks very similar to our Marsh Marigold, and but it is horrible. They also call it lesser celandine, and what makes it awful is look how it just took over this woodland in Ohio, the bottom side. And when you look at the top photo, you can see why it is so evil. All those bulbils and those little tubers stay in the soil and come back year after year after year. What makes this so difficult to deal with? Oh, and here's the comparison of the Marsh Marigold, which is a native to here. It's a native plant here in our woodlands. And the lesser celandine, you can see there are many more petals on the flower. So that's how you can really distinguish it. But again, you don't confuse it with, with the native. What makes this so awful is it survives with the tubers, and it's known as an extreme ephemeral, which is not unlike Virginia bluebells, where it flowers and does beautifully, and then it finishes flowering, the foliage recharges itself and then dies to the ground. This is an extreme ephemeral, which means it dives, and then these little bulbils, see at the junction of where the leaves attach to the main trunk, these little tiny bulbils are there. When the foliage dies off, the bulbils stay and drop into the soil, and then they turn into these tubers. And then once the plant goes ephemeral, which means it dies to the ground, and there's nothing to spray. You can't spray anything, and it won't die. So you have to wait till the next year when it comes up. And this took over 3 years ago when we had that wet spring, and those are the conditions it loves to grow in. So any of the seeds that dropped, they all germinated, and all the tubers, survived. And so it has just been horrible. So since it's a non-native invasive, you should try to eradicate it as soon as you can. This shows it on the edge of a lawn where there's been a weed killer used, but it's creeping into that flower bed where all of those daffodils are growing, and the grape hyacinth. And if you try to spray, you're going to kill all the bulbs as well. So let's keep moving forward. Here, okay. So oh, I'm going backwards, excuse me. All right, so the best way to control it in the lawn is to use a weed killer for the lawn. And it has to include at least 2 of the active ingredients of 2,4-D, MCPA, MCPP, dicamba, and triclopyr. And the best ones that we have for that, I'll show you the photo of that coming up, are the chickweed clover and oxalis, or the weed beater ultra. You can also use anything that has sulfentrazone in it, and so that's the Sedgender, and I'm gonna show you that. This is the weed beater ultra. This works when the temperatures are cooler, but it's not quite as effective as the chickweed clover and oxalis. And the research has shown that the most effective way to kill it is to spray it when it's just like in mid-blooming phase. But and that's going to be about 3 weeks from now. So, and then otherwise you have to use a non-selective herbicide in a garden bed. You can't use a lawn. You cannot use either of these in a standard garden bed, like where there's trees and shrubs or perennials. You cannot use either of these because these stay in the soil for anywhere from 60 days to 90 days, and it will kill your plants that are in there. So you cannot use these. I'm going to repeat again, you cannot use these in a garden bed. If you want to control it in a garden bed, you need to use, oh, I keep going backwards. So sorry. You need to use a non-selective, like the weed beater iron. And this is iron headed that you spray on the leaves, and it kills those leaves, and they can't recharge the tubers that way. Now, if you're seeing wild onion and wild garlic, use the Sedgender. And Sedgender again has that sulfentrazone in it, and it will get rid of those plants. This one will also take care of that Picaria nevus, or the ranunculus. Now, this is one of my favorite products. I shifted gears real fast here because I'm looking at the time. This is one of my favorite products, just when your flower beds are waking up, and that's going to be within the next 2 weeks. It's not right now, especially since we've gotten cooler. But I didn't know whether to wait for this until the next garden coach. I want you to be aware of this. And what's great about this is, and I've been working with this since I was in college, and it was a company called Fertilizer that first came out with this. And I love the name of the active ingredient. It's fluazepop. And you can see it, that's the last plot point on this slide, fluazopop. It's just the weirdest sounding thing. But what it does is it only kills grasses. And so if you have grasses coming up in your ground cover beds, or coming up through your roses, or in your perennials, you can spray over the top. And that was the name of the product from the Fertilum. They called it over the top. So you can spray over the top of roses, perennials and ground covers, and it will kill the grass only. It is the coolest product. Now, it doesn't kill it overnight. You spray those grass, leaves that are sticking up, and then in 2 weeks, they're gone. And you're not, because if you've ever tried to pull grass, as like pulling the weeds of grass, it's so frustrating. You get it all cleared out and it's back within 10 days. So this will take care of that. Okay. And now, spring cleanup is what I did in my garden. And the reason you clean up is you want to get any debris off the lawns. You want to get debris, large leaves out of the garden beds as the plants are coming up. Use a fine, loose rake, not a real stiff iron rake. And you really don't want to rake up the lawn. Don't rake up the lawn. That's old school. Don't disturb the grass plants. Let them wake up on their own and just get debris. And you want to do it before everything's actively growing. And so this is in my yard. This is my backyard. I have a liquid ambar tree. I'm just blanking on the common name, but it's beautiful. It has gorgeous fall color, beautiful star-shaped leaves, and these goofy seed pods. Oh, I thought I had a close-up. I don't, but they look like little spiky balls. And look, the tree is really mature. Look how many are on my lawn, and see how dormant my lawn is. So I'm going to rake all those up, and then the other thing it's time to do right now is to cut down your ornamental grasses. And you can see these are all my panicums, and in my front bed, that's my my bulb bed and perennial beds. And then in my backyard, I have the miscanthus, or the Japanese feather grasses. And the best way to take care of them, and I haven't done them yet. I'm going to do them this weekend. You go in with twine, and I tie the base 6 inches from the ground. I do it tied. I tie each base 6 inches from the ground. And then I do another tie 12 inches from the ground. I use my head shears and lopping shears and go in and just cut the bundle, and it's tied together with that second tie. And so I can just grab the whole bundle, shove it in a yard waste bag, or I can tie it up again and just take it to the curb, and my village will take it away from me. So that's the easy way to do it. Don't just cut all those grasses down and try to chase all those parts and to bundle them together. Tie them together and then cut them. Now, these are my great grandmother's peonies that I dug from my grandfather's farm. I did that 4 years ago, and I transplanted them up here. And this is what they look like before, and then I clean them up. And then the irises are also the irises were my grandmother's irises, and I took those from the farm, and we divided them up between my sisters and my dad and my cousins. And then so you can see this was before, this is after, and you cut all the foliage to the ground. And then I have a picture. I should have enlarged that one. You can see the pink buds. Look real closely. You can see the pink buds emerging from the ground, and they're completely hardy, because they've been outside all winter, and once it's cold, it just slows them down. They just stop growing until it warms up again. And I spray these with the 3-in-1, which has got the insecticide, the fungicide, and the miticide. And I spray with that once a month. Actually, I spray every 2 weeks when they're really quickly emerging from the ground, and that will prevent the peony measles and the peony stem blight that that they get, and also the peony bud blight. So this was, since it was 70 degrees on Sunday, I almost thought about spraying, but I ran out of energy. That was the last thing I did in the day. And and it got cold, so I can wait and spray it later. And then now is also the time to think about spraying susceptible plants for the fungal problems. So we're dealing with apple scab on crabapple, apples, and cotoneasters, also roses. We have black spot on roses. We have rust on roses. We have botrytis bud blight. I mentioned that on the peonies. We have volutella stem blight on pachysandra and boxwood. And then we have the patch diseases. Oh, we have powdery mildew on lilac, monarda, roses, and more. And then the patch diseases on your turf and your lawn. So the products that come to the rescue, and the secret is make sure to use prevention. So you want to apply while the plants are still healthy to prevent inoculation. And the systemic products will stay in the leaves for 30 days, even if it rains. And you want to start at bud break. We're not there yet. Some of the maples, you're seeing pollen, coming, emerging. Silver maples, the pollen buds are opening up. And then you want to repeat it 3 to 5 times. 3 times every 2 weeks, and it stays in for 30 days, but as they're emerging, you need to really protect them. Oh, and some of the fungicides stay in only for 14. So the Immunox over here on the left, and unfortunately, we haven't got that in yet. It's back ordered from our suppliers still. So hopefully we'll have it next week when it's time to start using it. And then we get infused. This is Prochonazole, and it lasts for 30 days on sprayed leaves. The myclobutanil lasts for 14 days. That's the Immunox. You can also use these drenches. These have a phenomenal fungicide in it called Prochonazole, and the BioAdvanced all-in-one has the fertilizer, a 9-14-9, the insect control, systemic, and the disease control, and it stays in those plants for 6 weeks. And you mix this at 1 ounce per foot of plant height if it's a woody plant. If it's a rose, 2 ounces in a quart of water, and pour right where on all these, you pour right where the trunk goes in the ground. The Rose RX systemic is the same, except there's no fertilizer in it. So if you want to use your own fertilizer on your roses, or you want to use like the Dr. Earth fertilizer, use the systemic rose drench for the insect control and the fungal control, and it covers all the insects, Japanese beetles, the sawfly, larvae that make the stained glass window. I'll talk about that next garden coach, but be aware of these. Now, if you want to use earth-friendly natural fungicides, you use copper sulfate. Those are on edibles. Those would be on edibles. Although I'm going to go back. The Immunox is cleared for use on edibles if you use it within 14 days prior to harvest. But things like my basil, I use the liquid copper fungicide, and this is the small bottle on the far left is the concentrate, and it's copper octanoate. It uses 60% less copper than the standard powdered copper fungicide, which is copper sulfate. And then the sulfur is just it's just an elemental sulfur that is a dust that you have to mix and you have to keep shaking the liquid so that the particles stay suspended. Okay, now, and then for the turf, you can use the Immunox for turf, and the hose and sprayer makes it so easy. And then BioAdvanced had a hose and sprayer, and then the Infused has the hose and sprayer. So you spray your lawn. Don't do that yet. You're going to be spraying that in May, but I just wanted to let you know about that. And it makes it really easy with the hose and sprayer. Okay, and then these are the early season lawn diseases. It's usually dollar spot, and you start seeing that first week in May. So be aware that the best way to control it is prevention. Okay, and then early season weed prevention. I see the wild onion. I talked about that earlier. that grows up, because this is, Chicago means, the land of the wild onion. And so we see a lot of this in our lawns. So sedginger is what you use to spray on the foliage as it's just coming up. And there it is. There's the sedginger. Okay. Now, houseplants, boy, fertilize those houseplants now. If you haven't started yet, March is the best time to restart doing your fertilizer for your houseplants. And this is Chalet's favorite. It's called Dynagrow Grow. And what's wonderful about this is it has a 795 nutrient, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. But look at all the micronutrients that are included. So it's like giving your kids vitamins and minerals. And it's so easy. You just take a capful and add it to 1 gallon of water. And that's what you water with every week, once a week. Okay. And then make sure to get your vegetables selected. We've been reordering our seeds, and we have Renee's seeds, we have Hudson Valley, we have Botanical Interest, we have Seed Savers Exchange, and seeds are just incredible. So be sure and get your seeds, and get them this weekend when you still get them for 20% off. And then this was my fun garden planner. We used to sell this. It was built, made by a gentleman named Clyde out of Missouri. He's Amish, and his family made these. And we had a case of these, and I just decided, they were like 10 years old. I decided to give them away. So we still have them at the diagnostic desk, and you can see it's a slider. The inside panel slides back and forth, and you set the red line on the date of the first frost. So it's the week of May 17th, it's May 15th. And you see all of your crops over here on the left. So like peas, you first plant them out the first week of April. Onion sets the last week of March. And then tomatoes, and I love this because this helps people put the brakes on and prevents them from starting their plants way too early. So tomatoes, oh, it's a little blurry. You go down, you start them inside April, the third week of April. Don't start your tomatoes too early. You're going to have little weak, thin stem seedlings that'll never do anything for you. And you first plant them outside after the danger of frost, and that's the first week in June. And then on the back side, and I don't have a picture of that, it has the fall crops, and you set the red line on the date of the first hard freeze, which is October 15th. So come in and get a freebie on us. And then Renee's Garden has some wonderful plans on her website. I have this printed up for people to show how to plant a raised bed garden. And these are the early crops. And you can see the peas, carrots, and radish are interplanted because you harvest the radishes first and then wait for the carrots to grow on. And then you have the beets. And then there's, this is seasonal. So this is early spring. She also has one for the summer crops, but I'll be talking about that when it's time to plant those. And those are after you've harvested these at the end of May, then you start your summer crops at the beginning of June. Okay. And then we have all the seed starting products. These are the coir-based ones, which are really nice. They break down, in the garden, and it's more sustainable than the peat moss. So this is a company called Plant Best, and they have the similar, pellets that you hydrate, and with a hole in the center to put your seeds in. All right, now this is what the garden, it's 5 minutes till. This is what the garden coach is doing in her garden. My husband rebuilt my raised beds for me last year. They had collapsed. And so I'm like a kid again. I'm having so much fun. So I bought I bought 4 bags of Chalet garden compost, the organic compost, and 2 bags of the Dr. Earth vegetable mix. And I divided that evenly and topped my beds off, and you can see how good that soil looks. And then I put this is my cucumber trellis, but I'm planting it early with my peas. You can see where all my peas are planted. And these are my garden peas. I love fresh peas in the spring. I love fresh peas. And you can see how I covered it up, and they're only planted a 1/2 inch deep. And I'll keep you posted on how these are going. Oh, back underneath the other back side of that, I planted collard greens. You can find mine out southern. And then this is, this is my front bed. I'm going to cut down the grasses. Oh, here's a close up of those seed pods, and they are wicked. They're wicked, and there's millions of them, absolutely millions. So I'm going to be raking those all up. And then this rabbit was in my own garden a week ago on Sunday. I chased it out of the dog run that was right next to my garden. And so I walked up and took this picture of it. This is a real young one. So he was back in the back where I hadn't sprinkled any of the plant seed, but I went back out and put plant seed, just keep them away from my own garden, my own garden. And then I am loving my snowdrops. I was given these from one of the interns when one of my fellow interns, we were interns at Longwood Gardens back when we were both in college, and he has become a collector of it's Galanthus, and so he gave me these. These are the giant snowdrops. He gave me these about, I think it's been 20 years ago. So and they come up every year, and it's my first sign of spring. And here, okay, we've got 5 minutes to go with questions, and I'm just here's to spring, and I can never resist all the tulip pictures. And then these are all the cute Easter things, and then I put together an Easter basket to give to my son and his fiance. So that we had napkin rings with carrots, and I gave them packages of carrots to grow in pots on their balcony. So it's all the fun stuff. Now, it looks like I've got about 15 questions and answers. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen here, although it's kind of fun to have those tulips up, isn't it? But here we go. Stop sharing the screen. Hey, I'm back. Hi. And then here is the, I'm going to put the Q&A over here. And then I'm going to attack the Q&A first, but the chat, people have done chat too. Okay. Please go back to the photo of the sedge ender. Ooh, sorry, Carol. You know what, Carol? If you have the handout, then you can just click on it, and there's a link that goes right to the web page for it. And then this is Jay Sherwich. Jennifer, thank you so much for sharing your invaluable knowledge. Well, thank you. This is Jane. Thanks, Jennifer. Such a great information. Thank you. And what would I do for my azaleas? Okay, it's a little too early to talk about azaleas because you do not want to fertilize azaleas until after they finish flowering. The reason for that is you have the flower bud here, and this is the stem. Right below the flower bud, like all around, like three all around, are the vegetative buds. If you fertilize too early, the vegetative buds will grow and pop the flower bud off. It will abort the flower. So don't worry about doing the fertilizer yet, but you can still put like a garden sulfur, a half a cup of garden sulfur around the base of each plant, and mulch it with pine bark mulch. Okay, I also found the download list for, please send the one for today's. Okay, I'll follow through on that. It's now a good time to plant a raspberry bush. If you can get the plants, if you have the plants and your ground is thawed, yes, it's a great time to plant raspberries, blueberries, and currants. And we will be getting them in, and we'll have them probably next week. All right, I kind of broke my word about doing chat instead, but okay, so here's Michelle. Okay, Michelle, I think you sent me your, there you are. Cool. Oh, Jennifer, there's Michelle again. I appreciate getting today's link whenever you have the time, no hurry. Okay, I'll find you, I'll find you, Michelle. Okay, I'm gonna jot, okay, let me see, Michelle Thomas. Okay, I'm gonna jot this down here. All right, and then the next question. Okay, I answered this one, done. Answering this one, done. Okay, and then this is Marianne. Please resend the link for the handout. Oh, okay, this is Marianne. Boy, I'm sorry that happened. All right, here we go. Is it toxic to dogs? Sandra Stearns. Sandra, I'm going to assume that you were talking about the plant skeed. and it is not toxic to dogs at all. At all. Okay, there you go. And that's done. And then this is Jay Sherwich again. Does the granular form of plant seed last as long as the spray form? Yes, it does. The granular form lasts for 2 months and 3 months in the wintertime. So good questions, good questions. Okay. Then this is Sedona stasny. So use it as a preventative measure. Yes, everything I've talked about today is preventative. So you want to use the animal repellent as a preventative. When they're out there, you know, snooping around, looking for food, if they smell that repellent, or especially the plant skid, they sense dead animals and they don't want to be the next dead animal. So they get out, they go to your neighbor's yard and eat their things. But, and then also any of the fungicides and the insecticides, you're applying them right now as a preventative. You're protecting your plants before the insects and before the fungus is active and inoculates the leaves. The way fungus works is when the leaves are baby leaves, they don't have the waxy cuticle on the leaf surface, and the fungal spore, when the temperature is right and the moisture levels are right, the fungal spore is released, it blows in the wind, lands on those leaves, and if the leaves stay moist for more than 4 hours, that spore germinates and grows in. And if you have a fungicide in those tissues, it will stop and kill the fungus. It's the coolest process. Okay, so great. And then this is Sedona again. The tree and shrub protection product for Viburnums and Boxwoods. Yes. Either company, either the Bio Advance, used to be Bayer Advance. You might have that in your garage, and or your storage unit, and then the Bonide, 12-month. Okay, these are great questions. Oh, here's Sedona again. Oh, I did that. Okay. And Susan, hi Susan. When can I treat grass if I think I have grubs in my lawn in some places? Okay, that's a little premature. I'm going to talk about that next week, and it's called Grubex. And Grubex you can apply as early as mid-April or even early April. The active ingredient in it is chlorantranilipril, and it is a new modus operandi. It doesn't work on the neurotransmitters or the nerves of the insects. If an insect crawls through it, it's absorbed by they have spiracles, these holes on the sides of their bodies, which is like their nose, it's like their nostrils. Then it pulls in as they're breathing, crawling through. Or if they eat a plant that has absorbed that product, then it causes the calcium ports in the muscles to open up, and that calcium offloads out, and they're paralyzed. And when they're paralyzed, they can't do any feeding and they die. So it's a great product, and it's only labeled for 6 different insects, okay? And 2 different grubs, a chinch bug, an army caterpillar, and then bill bug, and another one we don't get in this area. And so it's only labeled for those. And because of that, and it doesn't affect any humans or any other animals, it is the one product that we have in this store that doesn't have a warning label on it. So it's really amazing. It's an amazing product. So and it's the new form of Grubex, not the old form of Grubex. Okay, so all right. And then this is Arthur Mollenhauer. Good work. How can you prevent sparrows from eating all the newly laid grass seed? Okay, you know what? There's so many other seed products from plants out there that the sparrows aren't going to eat all your grass seed at all. And so they may get a few, and if it thins it to, you saw the chart for the planting, the planting density or the planting thickness of the seeds, it really doesn't impact the lawn that much at all. Okay, and the same question for preventing rabbits from grazing on the new growth. Rabbits don't eat grass. They'll eat the clover in the grass, and they'll go after all your other plants, but they don't eat grass. So don't worry about that. Okay, and then use plant skeet if you want to keep the rabbits out of your yard. Now, Joan, I have an Ito peony that has buds that are coming out of the stems. That's good. That's what they do. Do I cut it back to those buds or to the ground? On Itos, don't prune it back. Just prune if you have any dead wood. turn the dead wood back to just where you're seeing new growth emerging from the stems, and then spray with the all-in-one or the 3-in-1 spray that has the fungicide, the insecticide, and the miticide on it. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, don't cut Etos to the ground. Those are only the herbaceous peonies. And an Eto is a hybrid cross between the herbaceous and the tree peonies. And tree peonies you don't cut down to the ground. So wow, I'm glad you asked that. I'm hoping so people were signed on so they hear that. Okay. And then here's anonymous. Is it too early to apply bio-advanced rose and flower care systemic drench to boxwood and roses? No, it is not too early at all. The ground is thawed, and so get it in, and it stays in. It stays in for 6 weeks. So now, if you want to extend, the life of your product, wait till the 15th of April and apply it, and then it's June 1st and July 15th. Otherwise you're applying it sooner and earlier in the season, and you might have to do one more application. But that was a great question. Okay, and then this another one. Any good sprays to help kill daylilies? Oh, you're looking to start over. Also going to try smothering with cardboard and mulch. Well, that will work if you can smother them and then dig out the tubers, after you've done that. That's a lot of work. You can also use a non-selective herbicide. The brand that we have is the Bonide brand. It's called Knockout. It's called Knockout. And you can spray that on the foliage as it's coming up. It will be translocated down and kill the roots. And it's not in the soil. It doesn't stay in the soil. When it touches the soil, it's broken apart into 8 amino acids. So that would be the best way to try to get rid of those. Okay. This is, here we go. And then PB. Oh, I've gone over. Thanks for sticking with me, everybody. PB, do you try to use up insect disease repellents in a season? Can they survive the extreme temperature changes in the garage? Anything that's liquid, it's really smart to store it someplace where it won't freeze and thaw over the winter time. We just had a couple of really cold periods, late in the winter. And so your liquid products are probably okay this year. Some of our winters where it just freezes and thaws and freezes and thaws. What happens is any liquid product that has water in it, the water will freeze out, and then sometimes they don't combine back together appropriately. So, so if they're granular, don't worry about them. That it's not a problem at all. Okay, and then this is my mother's name was Marcia, and it was spelled Marcia. You might be Marcia. So if I pronounce your name wrong either way, I apologize. But hi, I noticed your front garden had patches of moss. We have moss patches as well. What do you advise? Does the moss prevent perennials from poking through? No, it really doesn't. And it had gotten pretty wet last fall, and I actually don't mind having moss. I like the moss. A lot of times it will dry out and it just stays there. Perennials will grow right through it. In fact, I have bulbs just pushing right through it right now. So some people don't like it. I like it. And there's companies out there where you pay a lot of money to get a native moss like that, and you put it down, and you need to keep it consistently moist and shaded. And you can tell how shady that garden is because you can see how much moss was growing on it. Good eye. Okay. Okay, then Mimi Morris. Thank you, Mimi. Okay, and then Anne Melbourne. Oh no, is it? Yeah, Melbourne. Thank you, Jennifer, for another wonderful presentation. I love hearing you give all the info we can use for our spring gardening. Have a wonderful vacation. Thank you. That's so nice. That is very nice. I appreciate that so much. And then this is Carol Wooten. I need today's handout link. Okay, I'll forward that to you. And then PB, thanks, love these garden coats presentations. You wake me up to think about my garden. Oh my God, that's a great compliment. Thank you so much. Okay, and then Dornurk. Okay, I believe I have prostrate spurge in my front lawn. Okay, what's the best way to get rid of it, and when should that be done? Okay, the spurge is so aggravating because it grows low. You can't mow it off because it's not above the level of the grass. The chickweed clover and oxalis killer does a great job getting rid of it. If you have, you know, a lot of it, and it can crowd out the grasses, then you might want to use a granular, and then you would need to use the bonide step 1. Is this the no, 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 no. What you would do, okay, there's a lot of seed. There's a lot of seed. So I would go ahead and use the Scott Step 1 for seeding, and it's going to prevent the seed that's there from germinating. And then your second application in at the end of May, in the first 2 weeks of June, either spray the chickweed clover and oxalis, or get one of the Step 1 products from Bonide, or Step 2 products from Bonide, because then that has the herbicide and the fertilizer in it, and you spread it over the whole lawn, because you really want to kill all of that spurge or Veronica. Great question. Great question. Thank you for asking it. And I'm going to go over that more in later chalet coach or garden coach sessions. Okay. What about chipmunk deterrence? Oh, wow. There is a phenomenal chipmunk deterrent. This is for Janet Halstead. And I hate the name of it, but it's called Rat Magic. And it's wonderful because it has cedarwood oil, it has castor oil, peppermint oil, and clove oil, and there's one more ingredient, and you can sprinkle that wherever. I sprinkle around my brick patio because they like to burrow in underneath and live under my brick patio because it's warm, and so I use that, and it really does the trick and gets rid of them. And the other one that will take care of them as well is Repellzole, but oh no, Molemax, either Molemax or Rat Magic. And the Molemax stays, it's castor oil based, and it's granular. You sprinkle it around the areas where you see them burrowing in, or if you find a burrow, and they dig through it. And you can put that also in your containers when they're getting up in your containers, you know, as well. Either Rat Magic or the Molemax lasts for 3 months. Rat Magic, I think, also lasts for 3 months, you know, in the cell where you've applied it. Great question. I'm going to talk about that more, you know, although they're out there right now. They're really out there right now. Okay. And Sedona says, thank you very much. And then Anonymous, such a thorough presentation, Jennifer. Woo, you are so kind, so timely, and so helpful. You generate enthusiasm to keep getting out there. Oh my gosh, that is a wonderful compliment. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And it is, oh, it's 15 after. I think I still have, okay, this is wonderful. Thank yous. And then this is Debbie Morrison. What can I use for weeds in the garden without killing perennials? Okay, come and get the it's called a non-selective, and it's called Knockout. And you just spray the weeds, spray the foliage, and leave it for 10 to 14 days. It's translocated down and kills it at the roots. And just don't spray the perennials. And a lot of the weeds that we have in our garden beds right now are alien weeds that start growing earlier than our perennials. So you can get in there now and really do a good job of, you know, cleaning it up. Okay. Great question. Be sure not to use a lawn weed killer in a flower bed, because it will stay in the soil, and then it will be absorbed by the perennials that are there through the soil. So make sure you keep that in mind. And this is Pam. Please remind me about pruning hydrangeas, and it should, you know, how they should be done. Boy, Pam, I'm running real late, so you know, I'm going to be addressing that, you know, next garden coach. But just a quick summary. Annabelle's, you prune to 18 to 24 inches from the ground now. Excuse me. They flower on new wood. Macrophyllus, like the endless summer, or like the endless summers, only prune the dead wood, and you wait till you start seeing new shoots coming out, you know, out of the stems. Paniculatas, pardon me, you don't have to prune those if you don't need to. You can prune them anytime before the new growth starts, because they flower on new wood. So I'll be going into that in more detail later. Thank you for asking that though. Pardon me. I have endless summer hydrangeas. This is Sandra. Should I cut them back before April? No, I only get a few blooms on each shrub. Okay, you need to feed them like crazy. Come in and get the Dr. Earth Bud and Bloom Booster. You want to start using that, April 15 or May 1st on those hydrangeas. Only prune back damaged wood. Wait till you see where the new growth is going to form. And then in May, when they start growing, after they start growing, and they've grown for 2 or 3 weeks into June, you're going to cut every tip. And when you cut the tips, the terminal buds, it causes lateral blooming and they will bloom better. Okay. But I'll go into more of that later. It's way too early to even be talking about that right now. Okay. All right. And this is Marianne. Should I cut back my outdoor rosemary? Well, if you have an outdoor rosemary, it's probably dead. Rosemaries don't survive temperatures below 40. And so if you brought it inside, then you can cut it back before you put it out, but don't put it out till after the frost-free date, May 15. It's not live if it's outside. Okay, now Sedona. Wow, Sedona, I want to meet you. Where did I lose you? There you are. Okay, grapes. How to grow vines? Izzy. It's a little early on grapes. I'm going to save that one for another Chalet College, or I'll take your name down, look you up, and send you an information sheet about that. Okay, I think I've worked with you at the diagnostic desk. All right, and okay, so we're going to do that. Grapes. I'm writing that down. Grapes. Okay, and then Sedona. Last question, I promise. What do you recommend to amend a very heavy clay soil? Oh, I'm so glad you asked that. The best product is from Espoma, and it's called It's called Clay Soil Perfector, or it's just called Soil Perfector, and it's in this golden yellow bag. It's about a 25-pound bag, and it's particles that are 3/4 of an inch in diameter. They're little tiny lava rocks, and you mix them, you spread them like an inch over the surface of the soil. It will cover a 25 square foot area with that one bag, and you dig it in to the top 8 to 12 inches. It stays there permanently, never breaks down. It absorbs any excess moisture. It aerates the soil. And it is the best for clay. I've used it in my clay area. I live in Skokie, Evanston, at the end of the clay. I call it Clayland. It's the end of the Skokie Lagoon. And I've used it in mine, and it is phenomenal. Clay Soil Perfector. I don't think that's on, that wasn't part of the discussion today. So it's not on the handout, but just come into the store and get it at 20% off today. Okay, excellent question. And Sedona, I love all your questions. Thank you. Thank you. No, there's never too many questions. All right. Oh, and then Debbie Morrison, what can I use for weeds? Oh, I did answer that one. Okay. So that was knockout. And I think, oh, here we got another one. Okay. Answer live. Okay. Oh, and here's anonymous again. Are you using pre-now on the cleaned up beds on top of the leaf mulch? I am on my perennial garden areas. I don't use it in my vegetable garden because I do a lot of seeding. So you can't use preen if you're going to use seeds. Preen stops any seeds from germinating. It won't bother any plant that's already there, or any live plant you're planting into a bed that has used preen. But oh my God, preen saves you so much work, and use it as soon as you get those beds clean, and apply it every 2 to 3 months. Every 2 to 3 months. Mark your calendar so you don't forget. Great question. Great question. And then here we go, Sandra. Please repeat the name of the feed for the hydrangeas. Okay, the best fertilizer for hydrangeas is a Dr. Earth Bud and Bloom Booster. It also has a name on the package, Flower Girl. I hate that name, but it's Flower Girl, or the Bud and Bloom Booster, and it has 14%? No, it's 9% phosphorus. The Dr. Earth bulb food has 14% phosphorus, but the Dr. Earth Bud and Bloom Booster has 9% phosphorus, and I think it's either 4% it's either 3 or 4. It's 3% nitrogen, and 9% phosphorus, and I think 6% potassium. So thank you. Thanks for asking me to repeat that. And okay, and then I'm saving all this handout thing. I'm going to send that as soon as I get off, everybody. I still have only 2 people, so I guess we're done. Thank you, everybody. This was a great session. All right. Happy spring. Okay, we did good. Okay, so this is Izzy about grapes. Marianne, here we go. Marianne, oh, it's Dawn and Marianne, Don-dash. Marianne, 2 N's, at Comcast.net. Okay, and then, oh, that's Marianne. Oh, and then here's Carol. Okay, Carol. Wooten. So that's OOTTON 538 at gmail.com. Okay, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.